In this video, we're going to talk more about keywords and also just elaborate a little bit on expressions, which we've already covered to a degree previously. Firstly, with the keywords, now Java has actually got 50 reserved words that are used for keywords in your applications. And you have seen some of those in operation already. For example, on the screen, you can see some of the keywords that are showing in blue. And IntelliJ will actually highlight keywords in blue to show you that they actually are a keyword. So what I'm going to do is just go to a browser and I'm going to paste in this link, and the link will be in the resources section of this video. And this is a list of Java keywords, and you can see that the Java programming language has 50 reserved words and they each have a predefined meaning in the language. And if you scroll down, you've seen some of these before, like Boolean. There's another one, float, that you've seen before. And you don't need to memorize this list because as we go through the course, you're going to be learning all of these keywords. But the reason I'm bringing this up now is these keywords are reserved by Java. So what I mean by that is I'll switch back to IntelliJ. And incidentally, for this video, I've created a new project called Keywords and Expressions. So anything in blue that's showing in the IntelliJ editor is confirming to you that this is a reserved word. So for example, we can't go in here and create a variable called, say, int. So if we type int equals 5, unexpected token, and that's because as far as IntelliJ is concerned, int is a reserved word, it's actually data type. We could use int2. That would be quite valid because that's only using part of the word, but you can't use an exact word. So anytime you get into a weird errors, just make sure that you're not using a reserved keyword, and you can refer back to that list. Now, some of the other keywords that you've already seen that you can't use are false. We saw false before. We've used that in a previous video. True and null. But we'll be talking about those as we progress through the course. So as I mentioned, by the time you've finished with this course, you will have gone through all 50 of those keywords and will have a good understanding of what they actually are. Okay, so let's talk now about expressions. We have talked a little bit in the past about those, and you've seen some of those in operation, but let's just expand that a little bit more, just so we've got a specific understanding of what expressions are. So I'm just going to delete this, and I'm going to make a bit more space. Expressions are essentially building blocks of all Java programs. You'll be using expressions a lot, and expressions are built with values, variables, and operators, which you've seen previously, but also with method calls, which we'll be discussing in a future set of videos later in the course. For example, if we wanted to create an expression to convert miles into kilometers, we'd need to know firstly that a mile was equal to 1.609344 kilometers. So if we wanted to figure out what 100 miles were converted to kilometers, double kilometers equals 100 times 1.609344. So that would be a valid statement. So for that line, the actual expression is this component of the entire line. So the data type does not form part of an expression, but everything else on the line typically forms or is part of the expression. So the expression component is variables, values, and operators. All of those used in this case. We've got a variable kilometers, we've got values like 100 and 1.609344, and of course operators, equals, and multiplication. So that's an expression, this component of the line. By adding the data type, we're creating a valid Java statement, the combination of that and also the semicolon on the end of the line as well. Some more examples of expressions. We could have something like if high score equals 50, as we've done before. We're getting an error because I haven't defined that variable. So I'll just define that. So this component is the expression within the brackets, as you can see there. So the keyword for if and the brackets and the braces as well do not form part of the expression. It's this component in here. And incidentally, there's another expression. The expression is quite valid as well, with a literal value as it's got there with the number 50. And finally, another valid expression is this component here. So the component within the brackets is also an expression, and that's actually calling a method And we'll be talking about methods in a future section of the course as well. The main idea is just to get your head around what components of the entire statement or the entire line is an expression and what an expression actually is. Again, just a confirmation, where you're defining a variable, the entire line minus the semicolon at the end and the data type is the expression. So that's that component there. Or if with a literal value, that's the component there minus the data type at the start and also the semicolon. If you've got if you've got a control statement, control flow statement, and we'll be talking more about those also in future videos, the component in brackets is the expression. And if you're using a method, and again, methods we're going to be covering later, but anything in the brackets essentially, that is also an expression as well. So now that you know that, I'm going to clear this off. Now that it's off the screen, and my challenge for you is as follows. Have a look at the code that you can see on the screen. Write down what components of the lines that have entered there are expressions and come back and check your results after you've had a go at it. So how did you get on? Did you figure it out? Let's go through and talk this through. So the components that are expressions, firstly, in the first line, the score equals 100 component is the expression, remembering that a data type and also the semicolon to end the line are not part of the expression. In the second example, the if score greater than 99, well, the part in brackets is also an expression. So the if, the braces, and the brackets do not form part of an expression. In the next case, where we're printing out to the console, the component that's in between the brackets, in the double quotes, is the expression. The final example here, score equals 0, that is also a valid expression as well. So did you figure all of those out? Congratulations if you got them all. So that's expressions, and you'll be seeing expressions and keywords in use a lot more in future videos. But speaking of future videos, in the next videos, we're going to be discussing statements, which we touched on briefly here. Also, what white space is and the use of indenting. So I'll see you in that video.